Okay. So, week 2 is crazy, huh? What do I know? Seriously. What the crap do I know? We'll start with the least exciting game. Jared, you are looking like you're going to be horrendous this year. I mean, really, really, really bad. That's kind of funny to me, just because I love you so much. But really, man, you're making Hedgie look good right now. That's about all I got to say about that one. The tightest game of the week between poor Justin and Mike. Mike managed to eke that one out. The Jamal Charles injury just absolutely eviscerated Justin's team, and he still managed to score 94 points, so good for him there, powered by a really great outing by the Jets defense. Really tight, good game. Congrats to Mike on pulling that one out. Here's where things get a little more incredulous, you might say. Hedgie turned out to be the saddest story of the week again. This time it wasn't the lack of a kicker that hurt him, it was just playing the hottest team out of the gate. Allen is looking unstoppable right now. Rob Gronkowski and Jeremy Maclin, 48.5 points between the two of them. So Hedgie ended up scoring almost 120 points and still losing. He was the second highest scorer of the week. They lost. Wow. Normally I save the GOT dubs for the last game I break down, but it wasn't the best game of the week. As it turned out, my team kind of underachieved a little bit, especially when Michael Vick went down early in the third quarter with concussion. Michael Turner and Adrian Peterson are becoming the force that I knew they were going to be, and everybody else on Devin's team did their part. Hands down, the craziest game of the week was between Kevin and Jesse. Jesse always manages to lose to seemingly the worst teams, whether it's the bad teams have their great week when they play Jesse, or he has his worst week when he plays them. No matter what the situation, Jesse always manages to lose to the bad teams in the DFL. I think I'll just quote Justin Vanderschaff in this story. Quote, "How does this happen? Kevin scores 41 points in one week and 111 points the next." Now that turned out to be incorrect. After the scoring updates were finalized, Kevin only had 109.5. All things told, he proved that any given week he could really bust out, and between playing Hedgie and needing only 41 points to win in week 1, and then having just a tremendously lucky game in week 2, Kevin's right there, starting off at an unexpected 2-0 again. It's nuts. It's nuts. Big news around the NFL is just injuries. Arian Foster still might be out for a while with an injury. Jamal Charles went down for the season with an injury, leaving Justin in very dire straits. Tony Romo proved to be a bit of a bamf by playing the second half of his game playing the latter portion of his game with a broken rib and a punctured lung. Yikes. Good for you, Tony Romo. It's good for you. Maybe you'll win a playoff game this year. Who knows? Not too much going on in the DFL this week. The big story is just that the two lowest scorers from week 1 were the second and third highest scorers in week 2, and that Allen is looking great this season, overcoming adversity and being the highest scorer through 2 weeks, and just looking nearly unstoppable the way his team is playing right now. Justin would be quick to tell you it's not just Jamal Charles that's injured. Every single player on his bench, it looks like, has some sort of out or is questionable for one reason or another. He's really got injuries reeling his team right now. if any of his starters go down, or he might be in trouble, and on bye weeks he might have a rough time too. Justin's really going to be counting on the law firms of Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis to be putting up big numbers for him to keep his team afloat during this tough time that while he figures out what he's going to do about the Jamal Charles situation. So we'll move right along to week 3. Starting off with Justin and Jared. There should be nothing better for Justin to get over his injury woes than playing a team as abysmal as Jared's team is right now. Rocking Daniel Thomas and the hurt/disgruntled Chris Johnson, with Jermichael Finley heading up his wide receiving core. Justin is stronger all the way across the board. Quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. Justin should win this game handily, just like everybody playing Jared should win their games handily. I wish I could retract my statement saying that Jared will win 5 games, because he's not going to. Not the way things are. He's in trouble right now. If Hedgie can continue the scoring outburst he had last week, he might be able to, he very realistically could pull up an upset over Mike. The matchup actually is a little intriguing when you really look at it. Drew Brees obviously is a better quarterback than Eli Manning at this point, but I think Frank Gore and James Starks versus Darren McFadden and LeGarrette Blount, I give that running back edge to Hedgie right now. There's some decent wide receiver options on the waiver wire, and Hedgie is going to need to go ahead and pick one up for this game with the injury to Miles Austin. Miles Austin really helped Hedgie out the last couple weeks, but he's not going to be in this week. He's definitely out with the hamstring injury. So with the wide receiving edge going to Mike at this point, I'd have to say that I give Mike the edge in this game, but with Hedgie's defense being the Steelers, they might pull off another great game, and you never know. Hedgie has a real shot at this game. Still picking Mike, though. The core 4 players are all playing each other in their intra-division games, which always makes for exciting and heated rivalry. Devin is going to play BG. It looks right now like Devin might keep up his surprising move of starting Ryan Fitzpatrick over Matt Ryan. Not sure if that's the best idea this week, as the Bills are playing the Patriots and the Falcons are going to play the Bucks. But either way, he's got a pretty good quarterback on his hands. It's going to be fun to watch how Devin plays the matchup game there. Either way, I got to give the quarterback edge to BG with Aaron Rodgers. Michael Turner and Adrian Peterson versus Rashard Mendenhall and Ahmad Bradshaw. Definitely give that edge to Devin. The wide receiving matchup here is a good one. Andre Johnson, Stevie Johnson, and Anquan Bolden versus Megatron, Reggie Wayne, and Brandon Marshall. Tough game to call. I think Devin's going to pull this one out. I think we're going to come away with 2 very good 2-1 teams in the class of the red division. Next, it's going to be Jesse mulling around in the middle of the blue versus me holding up the fort in the cellar. I just got to have this game, and I think I'm going to get it. I like my running back matchup in this game. I think if Kenny Britt is okay for this game, he's listed as questionable right now on Wednesday night, but I think as long as Kenny Britt plays, I have a good matchup on the wide receiving end of things. I think I'll narrowly escape this game and live to fight another day at 1-2. I hate saying this, but the GOT dubs this week has to go to the class of the blue division, squaring off in Allen versus Kevin. Kevin had a couple of really smart moves starting Matt Stafford and Javid Best last week. He had just a tremendous game by Vincent Jackson that really helped him out. I don't know how Allen's been scoring 115 points a game, and I don't know if he's going to be able to continue that. Wes Welker is getting tons of looks. Rob Gronkowski is probably a good play for Allen, as Tom Brady seems to be loving tight ends in the end zone right now. Lions defense, I said before the season started I thought they were going to be good, and they're showing that they're really good already. Alan looks like he has a pretty balanced team, but every single one of his players looks dangerously capable of putting up a dud every week. I think Alan begins to separate himself a little bit and come away with a one-game lead in the Blue Division at 3-0, while Kevin begins his tremendously long slide into the basement with Hedgie at 2-1. Week 3 should be an exciting and already an important week. It's crazy how fast things happen in fantasy. Already people gotta start winning. After 2 weeks, the incessant unpredictability of fantasy football has begun to kick in already, hasn't it? Fantasy football is that gorgeous girl who finally accepts your requests to go on a date. And after a wonderful date where she laughed at all your jokes and everything was good and everything was encouraging and exciting, as you lean in for a kiss before you say goodnight, she slaps you across the face. But she doesn't slap you, does she? More, she politely turns around and says, "Call me," as she walks inside, leaving you to thinking about all the things that could have been, but for whatever reason, just never quite were. But that's it, isn't it? It's the unpredictability that brings us back. It's that unnerving, almost there feeling of it all that keeps you coming back for more. It makes you pick up the phone and call her again and say, "Do you want to do something again?" She always says, "Sure. How about next week?" "Okay," you say. "We'll see you then."